Good evening, everyone. Sorry, John, still working on your PC. So this time of year, it's time for election time for some of us. Um, I'd like to remind everyone, obviously, to talk into the microphone, speak clearly, because we're being recorded as usual. Um, and we've got two sort of key events in addition to what we normally have, one being the election of the chair and vice chair, and the other is a video, to watch a video of this year's annual report. So, are you all ready? So we'll get on with that. Thank you. Thank you for that, but that was very good. I must admit, it's surprising how well we actually do, and I think that a lot of issues that people complain about, this makes it look that we are getting there. We are doing things. So, so before we move on, and apologies for absence, it's normal that the outgoing chairman says a few words or shows a few pictures. I haven't got any pictures this year. I've got some few words though. Unfortunately, you're therefore going to need to listen as opposed to just watch. It's really been a great couple of years, and I do consider the previous year also part of the role of chairman and vice chairman, as lots of events happen in the first year, and it gives you good experience and good grounding. I'd like to thank Councillor Connolly's great stewardship and tutorage of me relating to the role, and obviously the role itself. I've had the support of John here to help me out. My first engagement was in the summer of 24, which was a lovely warm day, and that was at the Hertfordshire Zoo, where they were opening the new gibbon enclosure, and we had a few. Exactly. We had a few dignitaries there. Lewis Cocking was the guy that was going to open the enclosure. Read into that what you want. And I attended not just the opening, but also walking around the whole zoo. It's an excellent zoo. I'm absolutely bowled over by it, how it's developed over the years, and the Sampson family put on a great do. So that was the first kickoff. My last engagement, um, uh, slightly less humble, but not so well, equally as enjoyable, was with the Mayor of Buntingford, Councillor Wallace, and his wife doing a lovely quiz evening. And we had the Mayor of Sawbridgeworth there. He was a good member of our team, and the Mayor of Broxbourne, Patsy. So that's really the two bookends of my year. I hope I've served the council well, the officers as well as the members. Esther, who, for those of you who don't know, provides a great deal of support for the chairman in arranging these events, and I will thank her too. My consort and I, and you'll hear that a few times, I suppose, tonight, we've met many people. One of the first events was the Hertfordshire County Council Chairman's lunch, which was a splendid do with all of the chairmen or chairs around the county. Robert Voss was there. He provided good support, and Lawrence put on an excellent spread, and we had a really enjoyable day there. What I would say, I did meet Robert at some other times, and the most poignant one was at the Holocaust Memorial commemoration in this chamber, where he gave a very moving account of his own family's traumas meted out by the Nazis. I do hold him in great regard. He is a charming man, and if you get to meet him, then you'll find out so as well. Along with the Lord Lieutenant of Hertfordshire, Robert, we have had many events together with the High Sheriff, Nicholas Buxton. Again, he was a lovely person. We went on many events together. He's actually a neighbour of a cousin of mine. So he was, and I didn't realise that when we met, which is quite interesting. He's had probably a great year as well. Many events, including I think we went to the Knife Angel in Welwyn Garden City, which was a brilliant event as well. Also, I think, and I'm going to thank Councillor Hoskin on this, we had a meeting with him as he's a farmer, because of fly tipping and other things that he wanted to clear up. So he's not just wearing a nice frock and everything for show. He wants to do real things, and I think Councillor Hoskin helped him well. So thank you. So other people, other dignitaries. There's Josh Dean, who's the obviously one of the MPs for our district. We saw have many events together. We obviously may not be politically aligned, but I can tell you he's a really nice person, and I think he does a lot for the his constituents. The first time I think I met him, and this was with Breathe Easy, Councillor Hollybon, which was a great event. And I think he was chaperoned by Councillor Estop at the same event. And we had the Mayor of Stortford there, Councillor Townsend. That was a splendid event, and I think I went to one the following year as well, which was superb. And I think you do a good job there. Other events that happened, one this year or last year, was the VE Day celebrations, and there's quite a few of those going around. We went to one, or I represented the district at one in Bishop Stortford at a school, where they made it out to be like a street party, which with all the music and everything like that was absolutely phenomenal. There was people there like Councillor Wilson and I think Councillor Townsend again. I think you were there, Miriam, if I get it right. But that was a VE Day celebration. Some of the other areas that were very good, shared a platform with the Mayor of Hertford at the White Glove ceremony just before Christmas, which was a big favour for him, a big honour that he gave me, where I could take my father along, who was a previous pupil at the Hertfordshire Grammar School, or Hertford Grammar School, sorry, as it was at the time, but it's now the Richard Howe School. That was a wonderful event, and I think you did well there. Well done. And I think you've still got the white gloves, hopefully, that you were awarded. Yeah, good. And that also gave me a chance to meet Peter Ruffles, which some of you may know was a previous chairman in this chamber. Other events, there was that lovely event where we provided the honour to that young lady who was a martial arts expert. That's another wonderful occasion that we undertook here. Other things, other memories. I do remember doing a dog. Well, I was going to say a dog measuring competition, but it's just you're obviously choosing the best dog out of all of these hounds. I'm a cat person, so I do apologise if I went wrong slightly. But at that event, I met the wife of Councillor Devonshire. I don't know whether she ever told you that, but that was a very pleasant encounter. Send her my regards. But one of the things that it did make me remember was how short the tenure is within this role, and it's fleeting, but it's good fun. I also remember doing the Sawbridgeworth. I keep calling it vineyard orchard, the Rivers Orchard. Yeah, exactly. 300-year anniversary, which was spectacular. A lovely, lovely. I was going to say cider, but it was non-alcoholic cider, apple juice, which was just a lovely occasion. So thank you very much. There's also shows at the Beam, which is superb. I think the first year was with the mayor at the time, Councillor Carter, and your husband. So that was a lovely function. Thank you very much. And this last year, Councillor Watson and his family were there. Again, that was a pantomime, was it, or something like that? It was absolutely wonderful. Super show, super venue, and I think we've managed to get that right. That particular venue, it's superb. I also can't forget the Mayor of Wares, Kayleigh, Councillor Hill, which was again a superb occasion. We had haggis, tatties, and neeps, and some dancing, which was a good day. I suppose working on some of the other more serious notes on this. I know that Kayleigh's are very serious, obviously, and Burns Night is, but the last time I saw Josh Dean, I think, was at something called the Purple Flag Audit, which a purple flag is an accreditation that a town can get for its nightlife. So it's safe, it's clear, and everything like that. And it's hopefully going to be a good platform for Bishop Stortford in future. I was invited, as was Councillor Glover Ward and and Josh, and we all had a few words to say about that. I do want to thank Councillor Glover Ward for all the effort, because we actually passed and got the accreditation, which is a phenomenal thing for the town. So some of the other side adventures that I've had, and don't worry, I'm wrapping up very soon here, and let John take over. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that, should I? I shouldn't really say that. So I had a side adventure, not a slide adventure, a side adventure. So my wife and myself decided to take a year's membership at Grange Paddocks, and I do occasionally see Councillor Swainston there, one of the people. But we really enjoy it, and I would say, with all the things that I see on social media, I never see enough praise about Grange Paddocks. It's a superb thing, and I think, Councillor Hopewell, I think that you just keep on there. That it's actually we've hit the right note, and I now obviously recognise the former former administration's efforts in this, but yeah, I think we should cry a bit more about this. I think it is a really good event. And I'd like to obviously just note, as I haven't mentioned his name, Councillor Jacobs' wife goes there, and we do Pilates together. So anyway, so there's way too many things to talk about, way too many things that I could go on and whatever, but it's been an unforgettable year. I hope I haven't embarrassed the chamber in any way, or any of the members, or the council in any way, but it's absolutely superb, and I would recommend this role to anyone. I just hope I served you well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now on to business. Apologies or absence.
Yes, tonight we have apologies from Councillor Boylan, Councillor Butcher, Councillor Marlow, Councillor V. Smith and Councillor Passard-Wyatt.
Thank you very much. This is the bit we've all been looking for, really, isn't it? So the election of chairman 26-27. Now, please, could I have any nominations for the next chairman for 26-27?
I'd like to nominate Councillor John Dunlop, please.
Thank you very much. Does Councillor Dunlop have a seconder? Councillor Wilson?
I'm pleased to second that nomination.
Thank you very much. And could we please have a show of hands in favour of Councillor Dunlop? I think that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Those against? And any abstentions? That is unanimous. Well done, John. Well done. So now I need to unfortunately give you my chains of office. Right. And you're going to have to sign things as well. So. Thank you. But really, we're just signing the documents.
Thank you. I, John Dunlop, having been elected to the office of Chairman of East Hertfordshire District Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. I'd like to present Martin with a former or past chairman badge. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. Now we need to elect a vice chairman. Do I have any? Oh, thank you. Do I have any nominations? Ione.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate you on your election to this office, and
Thank
I
you.
hope that you will have a happy and successful year. And now I'd like to nominate Councillor Joe Thomas for the position of Vice Chairman.
Do I have a seconder?
Yes, I'd like to second Joe Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have a show of hands whether you're in favour or against, or whether you abstain? So can we have, first of all, those in favour? Thank you. Those against? And those abstaining? That's unanimous. Congratulations, Joe. You're right, Sloan.
I, Joe Thomas, having been elected to the office of Vice Chairman of East Hertfordshire District Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and I will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you. I have a few things I'd like to say as incoming chairman. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to Martin for all the guidance that he has given me He's prepared me well. He's said it may be 9 months to go, but watch what I do and learn. And he's done an excellent job. He's warned me of all the things that are coming up as much as he can. And he's set a fantastic example and also a really tough act to follow. So thank you very much, Martin. To me, it's an honour to have this position, and one that I definitely did not think I was coming into when I first got elected. What was it, about 3 years ago? But now I'm here. I really relish it and look forward to doing as best I can possibly can in this role. Both two aspects of the job: chairing these meetings, which is always challenging, and so it should be. And also enjoying and representing East Hearts wherever we are within Hertfordshire or any of the other local counties. My charity this year I've nominated is Space Hertfordshire for the year, and aim to raise funds so that they can extend their services. They're extremely important, growing charity with lots of ideas, lots of ways of helping people with various neurodiverse young adults. Their particular project they're interested in at the moment is helping neurodiverse young adults in the workplace. Too often, I think we ignore neurodiverse adults when they bring an amazing effect to not only to the community, but to the people they work with as well. Anybody who's ever worked with a neurodiverse person comes out a changed person. Someone who has a better understanding of their diversity and what it really means within a community. So that's those bits. As regards to the business side of things, I thought I might just set out my stall in terms of what I like and what I don't like. You can choose to listen and work with it or ignore it. We'll work out which one you do. I've got a low tolerance for questions which are long statements within them, and I'll seek to keep us on track as much as possible. Equally, I've got a low tolerance for long answers as well. So I want to make sure that, for example, tonight we have 7 questions. It's unlikely we'll get through all of them in our 15 minutes. I would like to think as many as possibly can be, we will get through. And we always have the written answers that come later. So the sincere question that's asked will get a sincere answer in long form and hopefully in short form as well. So I think it's about making sure that everybody can be heard. Having said that, I'm making no promises about getting through 7 questions tonight. I want to keep our discussions fresh and clear, and I'm not a fan of meetings that go on forever and ever and ever with people sitting, their pulse rate getting lower and lower, their oxygen levels going down and down, and the arguments becoming less and less clear, and we get stuck. So in order to unstick ourselves, I am a great advocate of getting up for 5 minutes, go and grab a bit of fresh air or whatever it is that you need to do to refresh yourself. But I'm aiming sort of about once every 1.5 hours or so, we will have a break so that we can rejuvenate our mind and body. And I would request that whenever we have debate and discussion, that members are respectful of other people and time, and keep their points as succinct as possible. The great phrase of, if I had it longer, I would have made it shorter, comes to mind here, and we have quite a bit of time. The papers are well in advance, so I hope that we can make it shorter. So that's all my points. But again, thank you for having confidence in me to fulfill this role. The next item is, sorry, Joe. Joe, would you like to say some words? There's an opportunity, I remember.
I don't think I have anything else to add than thank you for putting your faith in me, and I'm looking forward to serving the Vice Chairman in the best possible way that I can.
Thanks. Item 6, leader's announcements. To receive any announcements from the leader. Ben.
Thank you, Chair. I want to start by offering my sincere thanks to our outgoing chair. Thank you, Martin. I think you've done a fantastic job. Your calm, cheerful chairing has been appreciated, and especially for overseeing our last council meeting, which was a mammoth session, especially as you were slightly under the weather. Thank you very much for that, and also thank you for your fundraising efforts and for all your hard work representing us all around the county. So thank you, and I want to offer Councillor John Dunlop and Councillor Joe Thomas my sincere congratulations on your new roles. I know you'll do an incredible job, and I wish you a very successful year. Thank you. I also want to welcome Councillor Jeff Jones, who is back here after a little break of 3 years. Obviously, you've replaced Jeffrey Williamson, who held the ward for 15 years, which is an incredible time. And we wish Jeffrey a happy retirement, but welcome. I'm sure we would all like also to thank Helen and Stephanie Tarrant and the Democratic Services team for the successful election, by-election that was run week ago, just over a week ago. I know all the council officers spent a very long day in the polling stations around that lovely ward. It was a very nice day out there. But then of course they went straight into a very long count as well. So it was a very tiring day, and we do appreciate that and offer them all our sincere thanks for a job well done. I'm now going to hand over to Councillor Marnie Goldspink, who's got some good news, I think, to announce.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, thank you. Yes, indeed, I do have some very good news, and it gives me great pleasure to announce them. And this is about affordable housing. In the video which we have just seen, there was mention of that. There's mention of 287 affordable houses which had been provided during the last year. Well, within that number, there are 15 homes which are now being rented out for truly social rent of about 50% of the market rent in the private sector. This has been achieved by partnership working between Hightown Housing Association, East Herts District Council and Homes England. East Herts has contributed £675,000 from the commuted sums which have been collected from developers who could not build any affordable housing or homes on their sites. This money then leveraged in Homes England funding of £1.425 million, a considerable sum. The result of this is now 15 beautiful homes at Northgate End, Limekiln Lane, right in the centre of Bishop Stortford. There are 6 one-bedroom flats and 9 two-bed flats. They have been built to a very high standard with fully fitted kitchens with all white goods and also with energy efficiency features. As from the 16th of April this year, these flats have been allocated to local people on East Herts Housing Register. 6 of those households were previously homeless. 5 were leaving private rented accommodation because they could no longer afford the rents. And 4 households were moving out from overcrowded family homes. They are people very much in need. So I'm really delighted that these flats have been provided for truly social rents. And I thank the council officers for all their hard work in enabling such a good scheme. It's really good, and I'm really thrilled and delighted with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. John, next.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm assuming that they'll stay social rents in perpetuity. I don't think you mentioned that, but I'm hoping that's the case.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
Chairman.
thank you.
Ben.
I'll continue. Thank you, John. Thanks very much. Finally, following the dreadful attacks in London on April the 29th, I'd like to make a short statement to the council. East Herts Council condemns the recent violent attacks on Jewish people in London, and our hearts go out to all of those impacted by this and other acts of racism, hate, and anti-Semitism. All communities in the UK of any ethnic group, religion, or creed deserve to live peacefully in safety and security. And we encourage all people in East Herts to work positively together to ensure our district remains the happy, safe, and welcoming place for everyone that it has always been. And I'm just going to hand to Councillor Goldsmith.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, the Liberal Democrat group strongly supports your statement. We too deplore the rise in anti-Semitism in our country, and we condemn the recent violent attacks on Jewish people, on their places of worship and on their property. We also condemn any violence against people of other faiths and religions. We believe that all people in our country have the right to worship safely and to wear whatever clothing or symbols of their faith that they choose. They have the right to do this without being scared or afraid. Thank you.
Thank you. Declarations of interest. Have we any declarations of interest? No. 7. Item 8, minutes from the 4th of March 2026. Do I have a proposer? Are there any, first of all, are there any amendments to the minutes? No. Then can I have a proposer for the minutes?
Yes, I'm happy to propose a minute.
Thank you. Vicky. And a seconder.
Yes, I'm happy to second them.
Thank you. Can we have a show of hands to indicate whether you support the motion to approve the minutes? Thank you. Those against and those who abstain.
Chairman, I would have abstained as I wasn't a member of the council.
Understand. Yeah.
Thank you.
Then that's carried. Are there any petitions? No, no petitions. Public questions. There are no public questions, I believe. So we move on to members' questions. And as I said earlier, we've got 7 questions tonight. Unlikely we'll get through them all unless something strange happens. We're going to have the 15 minutes allocated again. We've got the timer here, so you'll be able to see how much time you're actually taking up. I would just remind you to be as succinct as possible so that as many members as possible get a chance to ask their questions here tonight. I'll bring questions to a close once the answer has been given to the follow-up question that started with the allocated 15-minute slot. So if we start a question before the 15 minutes up, then I'll allow it go right to its end before we finish, and hopefully that will do the best we can. Just to say something as well, the method of doing this, along with some other items, will be discussed as part of the Constitutional Working Group Committee. So we'll get a chance to rewrite this element of our constitution in the future. So I remind members that both questioner and responding exec member must ensure that the question and reply is succinct. We now publish the full responses the day after this meeting. Short verbal responses are to be encouraged so that we may keep to the time limit. Any remaining questions not dealt with at this time will be published on the website as soon as possible after the meeting. Taking the questions in order, we invite Councillor Bob Deering to ask his question.
Thank you very much. Just before you put the clock on, since it's my first opportunity to speak, on behalf of the Conservative Group, Martin, can we thank you also for your great work as chairman? Thank you very much indeed. And congratulations to you, John, on becoming the new chairman. We wish you well. Thank you very much. If you'd like to turn the clock on now. My question is to Carl Britton, the Executive Member for Financial Stability. At the Audit and Governance Committee meeting on 24th of February, it was reported that the Planning Department is overspent on budget, but still understaffed. I asked what the further cost would be to bring the department up to a full staffing level. The Director for Finance, Risk and Performance said that he would provide a written answer. I chased for this on 5th April, but it has still not come through. I would therefore be grateful if the Executive Member for Financial Sustainability would now answer my question and provide the requested costings, please.
Thank you, Councillor Deering, for the question. And before I answer, congratulations on the new chairman. To clarify, officers provided a response to the question you raised at Audit and Governance on the 1st of April 2026, but you advised on the 5th of April that it did not fully address your question. At present, I am unable to provide an exact cost because the position is not straightforward and is being reviewed. In an ideal world, if we were able to recruit the strategic sites team leader and principal planning officer posts within the development management team, we could reduce our reliance on agency planners and lower overall costs. However, there is a national shortage of experienced principal level planners able to handle complex major planning applications. This is supported by a recent report from the Royal Town Planning Institute reviewing recruitment and retention matters across the planning sector, stating that most difficulty recruiting was reported at the principal planning officer or team leader level, with 96.9% of local planning authorities reporting these very difficult or difficult to recruit. More recently, uncertainty around local government reorganisation has made it even more difficult to recruit permanent staff at this level. As you know, I can confirm that over the last 5 years, a range of recruitment and retention measures have been used to support the service, and further options to recruitment of permanent staff in the development management team, including their likely costs, are currently being explored. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that answer. With respect, that answer is not entirely satisfactory. My question goes back to the Audit Committee meeting in February, which I followed up on in April, and we are now in May, and you're telling me that you can't provide, and you haven't provided any numbers at all relative to my request. That makes it sound as though the department doesn't know quite what it needs to do by way of achieving a full staffing level. Can I ask you please to let me know by when someone will provide me with the answer to my question, which is the costing that will be required to bring the planning department up to a full staffing level? Can I have a date by which this information will be provided, please?
I'll come back to you with a date after the meeting. I'll consult with the officer team. Obviously, the problem at the moment is that we just don't actually know what that number is, and obviously we'll be looking at the different measures that we can use to try and get the team up to standard. I'll come back to you after the meeting.
Thank you. May I invite Councillor David Andrews to ask this question.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations. I should like to ask the leader to respond to the following. At 2 of the last 3 meetings of the Planning Committee, officers have recommended approval for applications for 2 major residential developments in High Cross. The first for 36 units and the second for up to 95 units. These developments will increase the size of High Cross, a small village, by approximately 40%, and are therefore very significant. Officers acknowledged that each of the applications was unsustainable, and the residents of High Cross, and I rather suspect all rural East Hertfordshire, would like an explanation as to why unsustainable development is being recommended for approval, particularly when the Green Party forms a large part of the administration.
Thank you very much, Councillor Andrews. I'm going to pass that to Councillor Glover Ward, as it's a planning issue. Over to you, Councillor Glover Ward.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you for the question.
Planning is a really complicated subject, and reducing the nuanced discussion within the DMC reports to officers acknowledge that each application was unsustainable shows a lack of appreciation for the balanced arguments presented. Unfortunately, sustainable development in planning terms is frequently misunderstood. The National Planning Policy Framework does not treat sustainability as a pass-fail test, and it certainly does not require a site to be perfect in every respect. It requires a planning judgment, balancing economic, social and environmental considerations. Officers did not state, in writing or verbally, that either or both of these developments were unsustainable. What the officer reports do, which has failed to be appreciated in this question, is identify both harms and benefits accruing from the two development schemes. These impacts, positive and negative, were clearly set out in the reports, tested against both local and national policy, and given appropriate weight in the assessment. The NPPF is explicit that sustainable development in rural areas includes supporting the vitality of villages. It recognises that housing can help sustain local services, not just within a single village, but across a wider network of settlements. So the suggestion that development in rural locations is inherently unsustainable is not supported by national policy. As East Hart currently doesn't have a 5-year housing land supply, national policy means that the tilted balance has to be applied. This means that permission is only required to be granted unless the adverse impacts would significantly and demonstrably outweigh the benefits. It is suggested that the council has knowingly approved unsustainable development. This is completely wrong, and I refute the slight on our planning officers. What happened was that national planning policy was applied properly and rigorously, even though this has led to difficult and unpopular conclusions. Planning decisions are apolitical and must be taken on planning merits, in accordance with policy and material considerations. Unfortunately, DMC members must vote with their heads, no matter what their hearts are telling them.
Thank you. Leader, can I assume that should address the supplementary to the executive member for convenience? Thank you very much. Residents have expressed to me, together with parish councillors, that there seems to be no scope at all for substantial, meaningful debate by members of the planning committee, and that voting against officer recommendations is clearly discouraged. Will the executive member confirm that members of her own party are not whipped in relation to planning decisions, and officers will, has long been previously the case, assist members in formulating grounds for objection if that is what members wish to do?
Green Party members are not whipped on any voting at all in any way, shape or form. So that's the first answer. Secondly, it would not be appropriate, legal or moral to whip anybody on a planning committee because it is apolitical and it is done on planning judgment. And thirdly, any DMC member, and there are Conservatives on there as well, can tell you that planning officers have always said to all DMC members that if they want to discuss concerns or ask questions before the planning committee, obviously without predetermining themselves or anything of the like, they are more than willing to do that and assist members in coming to a decision.
Thank you. Eric, would you like to ask the question?
Thank you, Chairman. From my recent experience, the efforts and good work undertaken by our planning enforcement officers is commendable. However, can the executive member say how many live enforcement cases there are currently and what is in place to reduce the number to a manageable level before handing over to a successor council?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for recognising the work of our planning enforcement team. It is not something that often happens. In May 2023, when the current administration took over control at the council, there were 625 planning enforcement cases. Currently, there are 252 planning enforcement cases, which is a 60% decrease since the current administration took control. And I want to pay tribute to the hard work, dedication and teamwork from our incredible planners for this brilliant achievement. Thank you. I'm really pleased that happened because, as I say, our planning enforcement officers do the work with not many thanks and an awful lot of people shouting at them. So it is so nice that they've been acknowledged. With 4 officers in the planning enforcement team, each officer has a caseload of around 50 cases. This downward trend shows significant progress by the team and means the caseload is manageable, although we have 2 years for further improvement. And I personally would like to be below 50 cases per officer in line with norms. This is doable as the more complex cases are now what is left from the backlog that was handed over because they're the ones that take the longest. Initial preparations for service delivery as part of LGR is underway and will proceed at pace once government has finally made its mind up on the option that they want us to go down. This will include consideration of existing workloads. The team will continue to proactively manage cases and overall work pressures, including working through the more complex cases and balance against appropriate preparations for LGR.
Well, my mic is still on. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the response. That's useful. Just if I can make a couple of comments and then a question. I'm presuming there was a build-up during COVID, so it may be that there would have been some catch-up there. And you didn't mention the fact that it's not a statutory process either.
It's in the full reply.
Oh, sorry. Okay. However, the reason I asked the question is because I have got the impression that actually more resource would be needed. And if I can just refer to one in Sawbridgeworth, which is the Esbys site, which has been ongoing with various High Court judgments and enforcement over a very long period, 20 years or more. My understanding now is that to deal with that, it's so complex, it would need a full-time officer just to deal with that. So my question is, during these next periods that you're talking about, can we try to recruit an officer or officers who can deal with not only the outstanding number of enforcement officers, but particularly to work on the Esbys case, which really does need looking at, and to find the funding, which you probably have your discretion as an executive to allocate. Thank you, Chairman.
To go back to Councillor Deering's first question, which was around why planning is overspent, the simple fact is that in order to do the complex, we need the principal planning officers. Currently, out of the 8 principal planning officers that we would like to have, we have 6 vacancies, which is an improvement on previous where we had 8 vacancies. The reality is we cannot recruit to the principal planning level because there isn't anybody out there to recruit, because there was they stopped training between 2008 and about 2014, and that generation of planners is not there, and they're about the right age to be the principal planners. So I will look at it, but in terms of the fact that we are being criticised on budgets, I don't feel that for a non-statutory service that we can recruit an additional at the moment. I would rather be delivering the statutory services, and ideally that any extra money will go to trying to recruit or train up in-house some more principal planners. Thank you.
Thank you. This is our last question because we're in the last minute. So Ian, in true mastermind style, if you get started, then you'll get to finish.
Thank you.
Can I ask for your question, please?
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations on your appointment tonight. Hundreds of Jewish people live in East Hertfordshire. Every one of these individuals is entitled to live and worship in peace and safety or go about their everyday business just as all other residents. Will the leader of the council confirm that he deplores any and all forms of anti-Semitism, including the spate of anti-Semitic attacks in the UK we've witnessed over the past few months?
Thanks very much, Ian. All of us, I think, here take pride in our inclusive district, which extends a warm welcome to people from diverse communities and faiths. Every person here in East Herts, whether a member of the Jewish community or any other group, deserves to be able to exist in complete peace and safety. As leader of the council and as someone with Jewish heritage, I absolutely condemn all anti-Semitism. The murder of 2 Jewish men in Manchester last year and the recent attacks in London, in which one Muslim man was stabbed in Southwark, followed by 2 stabbings of Jewish men in Golders Green, are all appalling. No community should be attacked in this way or feel like it's under siege. Here at East Herts Council, we support our Jewish community in a number of ways. We have adopted the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance working definition of anti-Semitism to ensure clarity of purpose and help identify issues when they arise. We continue to hold and promote annual Holocaust Memorial Day in a More broadly, the Council also participates in community cohesion monitoring and information sharing with the police and other partners. Prevent training for officers and partners was held in December and included training for spotting the signs of right-wing radicalisation, including anti-Semitism. But to better tackle anti-Semitism and to help the Council ensure communities feel safe here, we must all play a role. So I'd urge everyone to always report any literature, graffiti or stickering that may indicate anti-Semitism or affiliation to the far right or other extremists. I'd urge everyone to report any disinformation or criminal behaviour to the police. I'd urge everyone to report hate crime to the police or report it on the Hearts Against Hate website or to East Herts Council, and I'll provide the contact details in my written response. And lastly, I urge everyone to call out anti-Semitism, hate, racism and discrimination in all its forms here in East Herts, and to reassure friends, family and neighbours that all of East Herts councillors, officers and our partners in the police are committed to making our districts as safe and as inclusive an area as possible, just as we know the vast majority of people here would want it to be.
Thank you, Leader. I've got supplementary. On the 8th of August 2024, you posted a personal message on the council's website asking the public to let the council know about any leafleting, etc., that may indicate affiliation to the far right. And you said at that time that all the council's councillors, officers and our partners in the police are committed to making East Herts safe and inclusive. Given recent comments and discussion nationally, please can the leader assure us that the police will have his and his party's full support should there ever be a Golders Green type accident on the Jewish community in East Hertfordshire?
Yes, I can provide that assurance.
Thank you. And that brings us to the end of the questions. We got through 5, which is reasonable for the time allocated. That brings us to item 12, the executive report. The first one on the list is Ben would introduce them.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, since our last full council on the 4th of March, we have had one executive meeting on the 24th of March, and of the 5 papers presented there, just one is coming to full council tonight. That is the Hertfordshire Healthy and Safe Places Framework, and I'll hand over to Councillor Vicky Glover-Ward to present it.
Thank you, Leader. The Council has agreed to update the district plan with a view to commence formal work in autumn 2026. To update the district plan, a large quantity of underpinning evidence is required to support any strategy that the Council will ultimately choose to propose going forward. A number of different evidence-based studies will inform each policy, ensuring policies are based on comprehensive and robust information that addresses key local priorities and issues. The Hertfordshire Healthy and Safe Places Framework, as found in Appendix A of the report, was published by the Hertfordshire Growth Board in November 2025 as a direct result of their Healthy and Safe Places for All mission. The framework presents guidance for local planning authorities to integrate healthy and safe placemaking into the planning process. It promotes a health in all policies approach, which ensures health is considered in all areas of planning, aiming to improve health outcomes for residents and address health inequalities across the county. It also guides local planning authorities to require health impact assessments, master planning, and engagement in the planning application process and local plan preparation to support healthy and safe placemaking. As such, I would like to propose that the Hertfordshire Healthy and Safe Places Framework 2025, attached as Appendix A, be agreed as part of the evidence base to inform the new East Herts local plan and as a material consideration for development management purposes in the determination of planning applications.
Thank you, Vicky. Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Miriam. So this is the first point where, do we have any questions? Bob and Eric?
Well, I'm happy to let Eric go first if you'd like to go first. It's okay. It's all right.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you, Chairman. Just based on my recent experience that we were just talking about, I do appreciate that gypsies and travellers and travelling show people have allocated sites in the major developments. And my question isn't really about social care, but if it's around healthy places, what I've really noticed in my engagement with travellers recently is actually how vulnerable they are. There are young families, very young children, babies in nappies, pregnant women. While they choose to live outside of what we would call normal society, they are vulnerable. So I just wondered whether there are any other specific considerations within planning that can be applied. Thank you, Chairman.
Any further questions? We'll gather the questions together and then Vicky can take them in order. Bob, you were next.
Well, thank you very much. I was just going to say that that my group has absolutely no problem with this, and we will be agreeing to this. So it's not a question; it's where we are. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I have two. Chris was first, and then Tim.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
The first thing I'd say is that I'm supporting this proposal, and these are laudable aims. What concerns me, I'd say, is that the bigger picture, in that I'm sure we had these aims before when we had the first district plan to get healthier places, but I'm not sure it really worked, because what's happened certainly in Bishop Stortford, but I think other places as well, is we've had more congestion, more pollution, more traffic, more car-based journeys, which has led to health issues. And this is not this council's fault or any other council's fault. It is a lack of funding from developers stroke government for infrastructure. So my concern is that these are all laudable aims and we'll do our best, and no doubt the successor council will do their best, as will the county council. But the concern is that if we have no definite way of getting money for infrastructure, which has been supplied for in Harlow and Gilston, for example, then how will we achieve this aim despite our best efforts? And also no mechanism to get definite money from developers for such purposes.
Thank you. Tim, do you want to ask your question? And then Vicky, if you could respond to this.
Less of a question, just acknowledgement that I fully support this approach.
Yeah.
I like the strong linkage that's been made between air quality and planning. That's reflected now within the recent restructuring of East Herts directorship. So now air quality and environmental health now comes under Director of Place, which I think is enormously helpful. I acknowledge your points, Chris, about the fact that good planning needs funding. But I think it's an excellent place to start, that we start thinking about health implications of our planning decisions, and I fully support it.
Thank you. Miriam, when do you want to speak? Because you have a seconder before or after Vicky.
Do you want me to do right a reply, assuming there's no more questions first?
Vicky, I think you should be the last to speak. So, Miriam, if you want. Oh, sorry, I have another question, Chris. Can you use your microphone, please?
Oh, sorry, is it my turn to speak? I thought someone else was speaking, sorry. I just wanted to come because obviously we all want healthy places to live. It's very important that we focus on that in planning decisions. I do have significant concerns about the mismatch between our visions for a healthy place to live and what actually happens on our doorstep. And I'm referring directly to what happens with Thames Water and the amount of sewage which is leaked into our rivers, but also actually to some extent sewage that's leaked into people's property. And Rymead Station having been flooded with sewage at Christmas, and there were concerns about the condition of the major sewer, the Stevenage sewer, which was noted as early as 2022 and wasn't actually repaired as an emergency until 2024. And that was only partially repaired because obviously the whole sewer itself is subject to major overhaul, which is not there. And we know that Thames Water is in significant financial difficulty. I think 17.1 billion is the current level of debt. It's currently in conversation with Ofwat about their funding strategy for the AMP8 and what they think they want and what Ofwat will give them. There's definitely a shortfall between those two figures. And there's no credible plan at this point in time for the kind of significant upgrades we will need to the sewage network at Rymead, which is the principal provision facility for managing wastewater in East Herts. There are some plans for some upgrades, but they're more about phosphorus levels and less about actually managing the infrastructure and improving the infrastructure. So on the one hand, I understand the importance of having a healthy heart strategy, and on the other hand, how do we square that with what looks like a foul water system suitable for the Middle Ages, where we just throw it out the window and hope for the best? So how are we going to square that given the lack of funding available for major infrastructure, as someone else has already mentioned, but significantly that's going to impact health immediately for our residents?
Thank you, Chris. Have we any further questions? If we don't have any further questions, Miriam, would you like to?
Yeah, just to say I fully support using this as the basis on which we set our aims. We may not always reach our aims, but we've got to have something clear to work towards, and I think this is what this does. It gives us a good basis to work on. Thank you.
Thank you. And Vicky, would you like to sum up?
So first, to address Eric's question, I know that when there is an occupation of a site where retrospective planning permission is probably going to be applied for in respect of G&T, the first people we send out are our housing team to check for vulnerable residents to make sure there's no emergency needs. In terms of the longer term aims for G&T sites, I will take that on board and I will talk to planning officers as to what we have and what we can have to actually inform that the GITANA provisions. Bob had no problems and didn't ask me a question as far as I'm aware. Chris was asking about congestion and pollution, and yes, I had a Gilston community forum yesterday, and one of the things that is so fabulous about Gilston is that we have a £182 million pot to pay for the infrastructure up front, which then gets replenished by developers to provide another 182 mil there or thereabouts to provide the rest of the sustainable travel network, and that is the way forward, because no occupation can take place till a lot of the sustainable travel network and roads have been built. However, for longer term, that has to be linked to, and it is linked to some of the enforcement stuff that I've been working with officers on, around the fact that we are so much better at writing Section 106 now than we were 10 years ago, because people have learnt by the mistakes. So even on Gilston, and again we were talking about this last night, all of the infrastructure is linked to the number of occupations. So you know at 350 occupations you will get X, Y and Z, and that is the way forward on that side of things, because it means that we can enforce rather than having the more it would be quite nice to have this before the end of the build ones that we had 10, 15 years ago. And as I say, that is lessons learned. In terms of the mismatch and what's happening with Thames Water, unfortunately, it is not a planning matter. Unfortunately, it is the way that Thames Water and has been well, not Thames Water, all of the sewage companies have been commodified. Basically, the assumption is, because it is a private business, that if they are paid X amount of money, they will be able to connect Y numbers of homes to it. And that is the model. It is a privatised model. It is not one where we can actually say, you have to have X, Y, and Z. There are provisions for if the company says we cannot cope with X number of homes until we've done some infrastructure and whatever that is, and you can impose gramping conditions in that case. However, if the company goes, yeah, fine, governor, it's all fine, we can't do anything about it. What I would say is Thames Water will be coming to ONS because of the motion put through this House at the end of last year, I believe the October meeting, but don't quote me on that. And they will be here at the June ONS, which hopefully an officer will shout the date out for me, to discuss the sewage discharge into East Herts in line with the motion.
Thank you, Vicky. So we have a recommendation before us on page 31. Could we have a show of hands for those in favour? Thank you. And those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. That's carried. Then we move on to item number 13, which is the appointment of the interim monitoring officer. I invite Helen Standen, Chief Executive, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair. So before you, you will see that following the departure of James Ellis, who was our Director of Legal Policy and Governance and Monitoring Officer for East Herts Council, I'm proposing that we ratify the appointment of Jonathan Gill, Director of Communities, as the Council's interim monitoring officer for an initial period of 6 months. So we've introduced some changes across the whole team, in which we are providing being provided with some support from Broxbourne for our legal team. Elections and Democratic Services reporting line has moved directly to myself, and I am proposing that the role of monitoring officer is undertaken by Jonathan, who has considerable experience of the Constitution and will be able to provide advice to members. So I recommend to Council ratification of the appointment.
Thank you, Helen. Do we have a proposer? Thank you, Maura.
I'd like to propose the Council ratify the appointment of Jonathan Gill as interim monitoring officer.
And I do have a seconder. Thank you, Joe. Does any member want to ask a question? Oh, Bob.
Again, Chairman, it's not a question, it's just a statement. We're thoroughly in favour of this in our group, and Jonathan, we wish you all the very best. I think when James departed, I said that it'd been very good to work with him, even though he'd been occasionally irritating. I'm sure you will never rise to the second of those standards, and we wish you well. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you. Any further questions? That wasn't a question, but do we have any other comments or questions? No. Then I think I need to ask the seconder. Do you want to use your right? No. Proposer, you have no further comments on that? No. So then we come to the vote. There's a recommendation A on page 122 of the agenda pack. I'd like to ask for those in favour, those against, and those abstaining. That motion's carried as well. Move on to number 14, minor amendments to the Constitution. I invite Jonathan Gall to present the report.
Right, straight over to me. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you.
The Constitution requires that council is notified of minor amendments to the Constitution, and these minor amendments are listed at paragraphs 2.2, 2.3 of the report, and indeed the appendix in great detail. It's covered at recommendation A. In addition to this time, council's approval is required for the amendment to the terms of reference of the Audit and Governance Committee as proposed by the Director of Finance. And the reasons behind that are laid out in paragraph 2.4 of the report and then addressed in recommendation B. I would just like to add, if I may, that I have been asked to reconvene the Member Constitution Review Group, which we are doing. And so any future proposed amendments may be considered by that group prior to bringing them to council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do I have a proposer? George, thank you. And can I have a seconder? Thank you, Martin. Does any member want to ask a question?
Again, Chair, it's not a question. As a group, we are perfectly content with this. We will be voting to agree this. Thank you very much.
Great. I can get used to these questions, Bob. With that in mind, the seconder, would you like to say anything?
No, I'm fine on that basis.
Okay. And proposer? Further.
Yeah. So on the 1st of April 1974, under the Local Government Act 1972, when I can't be bothered.
On that basis, could I have an indication for those in favour and those against and those abstaining? No, that motion is carried as well. Item 15, political balance and committee membership of the council. And again, I would invite Jonathan Gill to present the report.
Thank you again. As I'm sure members are aware, council is required at its annual meeting to approve the decision-making arrangements for the discharge of the council's functions. The committees and the numbers of voting members are unchanged. They are listed at paragraph 2.1 with the political balance and the implications of that for the committees in appendix A and B respectively. The programme of meetings for the coming year is at paragraph 4.1. There's no change to the executive save the minor amendment which was covered under the constitution and minor constitution amendments approved in the preceding item. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Jonathan. Do I have a proposer? Thank you, Stephen. And I have a seconder. Thank you, Richard. Does any member want to ask a question? Another one of these.
This time it's slightly different.
So 3 in a row would have been great.
Nearly there. Substantially, we agree with this, but the one item that we don't quite agree with is the proposed chairmanship of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. That, per the Constitution, should fall to a member of the opposition parties, and for the 12 months to date, it's been David Jacobs, Labour member. And we would like to propose that the time has now come for it to be a member from our group, and I'm therefore proposing John Wiley to be the chairman of Overview and Scrutiny. Other than that, we're very happy with everything in the note. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. We'll have some comments and then we'll vote on that. Oh, is that right? Okay. Yeah, I was going to debate the amendment.
Yes.
Or Diane wants to speak. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you,
Oh,
Chair.
you're seconding the amendment. Sorry.
Thank you,
Bit
Chair.
slow there.
If I may just second it officially.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or statements or comments on that? If not, then I think we move to a vote. Oh, Ian.
So I just wanted to say, historically, the chair of ONS was always a member of the opposition, and as we are the biggest opposition party, it naturally falls to one of our members to fulfill that role. Thank you.
Christopher.
Just to correct Councillor Devonshire, between 2019 and 2023, the chair of Overview and Scrutiny was Councillor Wiley of the administration. It was not a member of the opposition.
Okay, George.
I hope Councillor Jacobs won't mind me saying that I consider him thoroughly a member of the opposition, but also an incredibly good chair who has really improved and advanced the work of ONS diligently and fairly. So that's my view.
Sue.
I'd like to agree with Councillor Williams on that point.
Thank you. Any further questions? Nearly. On that basis. Yeah. Diane, would you like to add anything more on the amendment?
Thank you, Chair. No, I'm just happy to second Councillor Wiley for the position of Chair.
Okay. And then Bob, have you anything further?
Oh, thank you very much. No, I don't know that it falls to me to come back again, but I just maintain my request that the chairman be John Wiley. Thank you.
Okay, then I think we move to a vote on Bob's amendment. Can I have a show of hands for all those in favour of Bob's amendment? Thank you. All those against? And those abstaining? And that amendment is rejected. So any further questions on the principle? No. Then we can move to Councillor Townsend. You're the seconder. Have you any comments? No. Then I'll move to vote. Sorry, Councillor Watson.
No, I've got nothing to add.
No. Can I have a show of hands, those in favour? Those against? And those abstaining? Thank you, and that is carried. And item number 16, Annual Audit and Governance Committee Report 2025 to 26. I invite Councillor Martin Adams, Chair of the Audit and Governance Committee, to present his report.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, obviously the annual report this year has created a few changes, of which we've just discussed one around the minor amendment of the Constitution. But I propose that we accept the current Audit and Governance Committee report, and I will draw particular attention to the fact that some investigation has been undertaken by the team, Section 151 officer, and we've got a report back that says things like the membership of the scrutiny committees need to be different, and that in most cases is correct, but there's potentially some substitutes which could be on both committees. So there are some changes, but I'd recommend this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Do I have a seconder?
I'd like to second the report.
Thank you, Sue. Do I have any questions, comments? Ben?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Thank you, Martin, for the report. I just want to, I go along to all the meetings. I just want to thank you, Martin, as the chair, and Sue as the vice chair, and all the members of the Audit and Governance Committee. It's a really important committee. You do a lot of work. You read a heck of a lot of papers. So thank you. Thank you. You do an important role. Really appreciated it.
Any further questions? No. Then seconder, Sue, would you like to comment?
Yes, so just a quick word. I'd just like to say that it stressed the importance of us continuing with our committee scrutiny work as we head in towards local government reorganisation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. And Martin, would you like to? Nope, you're all done as well. That means we can come to the vote. Can I have a show of hands for those in favour? Thank you. Those against? And those abstaining? That motion is carried. And then we move to the annual scrutiny report. I invite Chair of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, Councillor David Jacobs, to present the report.
Thank you, Chair.
I think the report speaks for itself, so you'll be relieved I'm not going to read it. If you haven't already had the opportunity to go through it, then I'd commend it to you. I did want to take this opportunity to say some thank yous. First of all, thank you to George and Sue for their comments earlier. Thank you to committee members for their diligence and their hard work and their approach to the role of scrutiny, which I've always found extremely very professional. And same comment applies to the officers who provide support to the committee, and for exec members and officers who provide reports to the committee. It all works very well. So thank you to all of those. Finally, just to confirm, I do consider myself an opposition councillor. You'll be pleased to hear.
Thank you, David. And do I have a seconder?
Yes, I would second and reserve my right.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Do you have any questions, comments? Ben?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, once again, I want to give a sincere thanks to the Chair, the Vice Chair, and all the members of the Overview and Scrutiny Committee. Again, it's a critical role you play, and a huge thanks to you and to the officers, as David said, and to the officers for audit and governance, who I forgot. But yeah, thank you.
Any further questions, comments? No. Then I come back to Calvin.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just to second David's thanks to the officers that support the committee, and also for those both officers and exec members who have actually given evidence to the committee. I would also like to praise David for his chairmanship, and to say that during the year we have actually adopted some new practices. I think the practice of having the opportunity for exec feedback each meeting is an innovation, and also we have started to again, and I think it's been the case in the past, but certainly within this council, it's the first time that we've actually had a task and finish group, and I would commend the work that was done by that group in particular, looking at housing associations and how they communicate with the council, and I think that was probably one of the highlights of the year. But I think it has been a very successful year, and I look forward to that continuing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Calvin. David, would you like to make further comment? No. Thank you. That means we move to the vote. Can I have a show of hands for those in favour? Thank you. Those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. That motion's carried. Which brings us to item 18, reports by members appointed to outside bodies for the civic year 25-26. I invite Ben to present the report.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this year, as with previous ones, we receive and note the reports from members who are appointed to outside bodies, alongside the I think 18 odd reports for the 2025-2026 civic year, which are attached to this paper on pages 344 to 364. It's worth noting that there have been several changes. We've changed our representation on where charities. We will no longer have a representation on the trustee board at Hertford Museum, as they're changing their status. And there have been two name changes. The East of England LGA is now Local Government East, and the District Council's network is now Local Council Network. I'd like to sincerely thank everyone who sits on an outside body for the extra work and the time that you put in, and I'm happy to propose this report to Council.
Thank you, Ben. Can I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Marioni. Any questions, David? Ben?
Thank you, Chairman. There's a couple of outside bodies that we put representatives on, I think multiple representatives. And I'm troubled because I can't find reports from them. And those outside bodies are very important to East Herts and the residents of East Herts in terms of health, both physical and mental. They're great assets to this authority, but more importantly, they're great assets to the residents of East Herts, and they're both underutilised by East Herts residents, although they're widely used by residents from elsewhere. So I am disappointed that we don't appear, or in fact they are, I've missed them, to have reports from these two organisations which are multi-generational, multicultural, and very, very important. They are namely Watson Park, which this authority actually has a major interest in. And it's one of the few large facilities we have in the district that we and others can use for the bigger events. And the Lee Valley Regional Park Authority, where I think we put 2 members on. And that is a massive contribution to the health and well-being, potentially, of our residents, and comes right up into the, slightly beyond the centre of Ware. Could I ask that we have those reports brought forward to the next meeting of this council? Thank you.
Ben, do you want to come back on that?
Yes, I mean, I absolutely agree. And I will change the habits of a lifetime and whip some members to ensure we do get, of course, whip gently. I will request though.
Stephen?
Yeah, sorry, I've been a bit tardy with
sorry,
those.
Stephen. Graham was
All right.
before you.
Okay.
Thank you. An observation on the Stansted Airport report.
Okay.
It's a very important position, this, and it gives us a foothold into Stansted Airport about the pressure on our infrastructure, airport-related parking, east-west bus services, noise over Sawbridge Worth Pelham, etc., etc. Now, the report, the summary is very good by Councillor Chris Wilson, and at the same time he's been very honest and said that due to work engagements that he's unable to carry out the role on most occasions. I think is quite right. The position does offer a substitute. I'm not quite sure if we've got a substitute from East Hart, and if not, if Councillor Chris Wilson can't make future engagements or his contribution is not going to be as great as expected, would it be sort of good to have a replacement, but a substitute may be more appropriate?
Thank you, Graham. I'll take questions from Stephen and then from you, Bob, and then Ben, if you can reply at that point.
I'm just going to add my reports are in my outbox, just waiting to send out. I'll send them ASAP.
Bob?
Thank you very much. I just want to endorse what Graham has just said about the Stansted Airport issue. We've all got busy lives. We all have to work for a living. But if Councillor Wilson can't make the meetings, it does seem to me that he should stand down, and or if there is a substitute, the substitute should attend. I think it is not, with the greatest respect, it's not acceptable that we are not present at these Stansted Airport meetings. Thank you.
Chris?
My working arrangements have changed somewhat recently. I'm expecting to be able to attend more, as Graham will have noticed I was at the last one. So I'm expecting to be able to attend more. If I'm not able to do so, I will, of course, either get a substitute or I will happily step down for someone else.
Can we just be clear, is there a substitute?
Ben, sorry, Ben, before you, well, yeah, can I think there was another question over there, was it George? You're just stretching, were you? Okay. If there are any further questions? No further questions, then who's our seconder here? Myone, do you want to say something?
No, thank you. No further comment.
So, Ben.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I think some very good points about substitutes. I don't know about whether we're entitled to have subs, but I will definitely find out. And where we can, I'll try and ensure that we do. I think, Chris, you know, you did actually attend meetings, and there are a number of things that you were involved with and you did know about. So, yeah, thanks for that. But I think we can definitely look at substitutes where we can. So, thank you.
Which? Tony, I'm not sure whether I'm allowed to let you ask a question because I've just asked Ben and I felt that was the last person that
I was
spoke.
going to make a helpful comment, really.
Oh,
I was
well,
the
we'll take
vice, I
comment.
was the stand-in on Stansted previous time, and I was the substitute, and it's Graham Andrews was the main one. All right.
Thank you. I think that then brings us to the vote. Can I have a show of hands, all those in favour? Thank you. Those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. That's unanimous. Which brings us to item 19, motions on notice. I'd heard previously that some people have not been able to get access.
Papers, they weren't there. Now, I'm told by Helen this evening, who made the inquiry for me, that they've changed the system, but can we make sure that anything like that is put on the secure site and also the public site? It's very disappointing. I haven't read it at all because I didn't have it, so I will obviously abstain tonight.
So we have two options. We can pause for a while for people to take a no, or or we can continue on and go through. It seems as if members are happy to go as we are. I'd ask Nick to present the motion.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations. Councillors, tonight is a test of who we are, not what we say in strategic documents, not what we promise in election leaflets, but what we are prepared to stand for when it matters. Because we're being told quietly, persistently, that tackling the climate crisis requires compromise, that we should not ask too many questions, that we should look the other way. We won't accept that, and neither should our council. A green future built on slave labour is not progress, it's exploitation rebranded. East Hertfordshire has never been a place to look away. From Wadesmill, where Thomas Clarkson's work on slavery began, to Sir Thomas Buxton carrying abolition through Parliament, our district has changed the course of history. Our predecessors didn't say it's happening elsewhere. They understood a timeless truth. If your prosperity depends on someone else's suffering, neutrality is not neutral, it's complicity. And history is repeating itself because credible evidence from the United Nations, legal experts, and academic research points to systematic repression in China's far western province of Xinjiang. Detention, coercion, surveillance, slavery, genocide. And this matters to us because up to 95% of solar panels rely on polysilicon, and a significant share of that comes from Xinjiang. Supply chains do not stop at borders, they end in places like East Hertfordshire. So we face a simple choice. Do we pursue net zero at any cost, or do we lead with integrity? Let me be clear, this motion isn't anti-solar, it isn't anti-development, and it isn't about grandstanding. I support renewable energy, I support rapid decarbonisation, and I support the expansion of solar energy across our district. But climate justice without human justice isn't justice at all. What this motion proposes is measured, practical, and lawful. We audit our own supply chains, we increase transparency for future projects, we encourage ethical sourcing through recognised standards, and we use our voice to push for stronger national action. We don't overreach our powers, but we don't abdicate our responsibility either. Because residents expect more from us than just box ticking. They expect leadership, they expect consistency, and above all, they expect moral values. People are tired of politics that says one thing and does another, tired of convenience trumping conscience, tired of being told that ethics are optional. This motion says the opposite. It says values matter. It says transparency matters. It says human dignity isn't negotiable. History shows us that moral leadership rarely begins at the top. It begins when ordinary people decide that they will no longer look away. In the 19th century, local people boycotted slave-produced cotton. They were told it wouldn't make a difference, but it did. It made all the difference. Today, it may seem a long way from Hartford to Xinjiang, but moral distance isn't measured in miles, it's measured in courage. So let us show courage tonight. Let us say clearly, our path to net zero won't be built on exploitation. Our commitment to climate change will go hand in hand with human rights. And East Hertfordshire can lead, not just with ambition, but with integrity. I urge you, please support this motion.
Thank you, Nick. Do I have a seconder?
I second and I reserve my right to speak.
Thank you, Vicky. Does any member wish to comment? Sarah, Bob, sorry, Tom. Yeah, we'll start with Sarah, please.
Thanks. I would actually like to table an amendment to the motion. So if I start by reading it out and then I'll explain why. So under resolution 2, I want to just add a second paragraph. So it says that any procurement requirements arising from this policy shall be applied proportionately with due regard to accessibility for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. The council shall also, where practicable, support SME participation through the use of recognised independent assurance schemes and proportionate evidence requirements consistent with the aims of this policy. So the reason, I'm sure you'll all agree that slavery in any form is appalling and we should do all we can to prevent it. That's why I'm broadly in support of the motion and the positive steps it asks this council to take. However, I'm also aware that small businesses don't have to make a statement under the Modern Slavery Act confirming the steps they have taken to ensure slavery and human trafficking is not taking place in their business or supply chains. Such businesses clearly don't have the same resources as larger companies to carry out such checks. For all the right reasons, we would be asking these businesses to go above the legal requirements, and therefore, I think we should try and provide some support with them where we can. I think it's important to recognise that what we do can both fight against slavery and support the SMEs in upping their standards as well. I'm therefore proposing that amendment. Thanks.
Can I have a seconder? Thank you, Joe. So any questions? And we're debating the amendment at the moment. And sorry, it was Tom and Eric. Sorry. You haven't seen it? No. I'll read out the amendment just to. It's item 2. After at the end of item 2, the council resolves to any procurement requirements arising from this policy shall be applied proportionately with due regard to accessibility for small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. The council shall also, where practicable, support SME participation through the use of recognised independent assurance schemes and proportionate evidence requirements consistent with the aims of this policy. So, any questions on that? If not, oh, there's one. Nick?
I was going to say I'm quite happy with the amendment. Helping small businesses achieve higher ethical standards is entirely within keeping with the sentiment of the amendment. So I'm content.
Okay, thank you. Bob?
I apologise if this is just me, but if I caught it correctly, there's a reference to insurance in the proposed amendment.
No, assurance.
And if I heard that correctly,
No.
And I don't understand that.
It's our assurance schemes.
Assurance. Okay, that's fine. Because the question doesn't arise.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions on the amendment? Eric, go on. You're happy there.
This could get complicated. I agree with the amendment because it is about proportionality and we don't want to restrict anyone or put people off. I would just like to add a few words to point 4. It doesn't change the meaning or intent, It just gives a little
Sorry,
bit
Eric,
of a
that
boost.
would be a further amendment. We need to vote on this amendment first of
That's
all.
fine.
Yeah, and then we can come to you for a further amendment.
Chair, I know I shouldn't have 2 bites of the
Yeah.
cherry, but my first point was because I didn't hear correctly. I hope I can come back.
Okay.
My substantive comment, again, if I've heard you correctly, is why the amendment is only relative to SMEs. I mean, again, the whole chamber must obviously be aware of the economics of this. The question acknowledges that 95% of this kit does come from China. So if that supply chain is restricted, there's firstly a question as to, well, what on earth are people going to do? And obviously there would be a secondary question that the alternative presumably will cost more money. So this doesn't just bear on SMEs, it bears on everyone. And it seems to me that the proportionality should be applied, if you like, universally.
Sarah, yes, would you like?
I don't think that's correct because under the Modern Slavery Act, obviously Section 54 already requires companies with a turnover of above 36 million in order to produce a statement which states what they're doing in terms of their supply chain and ensuring that they do not have any evidence of modern slavery in their supply chain or their business. And that is why I wanted to table the amendment, because it would be the SMEs who don't currently have a legal requirement to meet that standard. They can voluntarily do it, but that's why I wanted to go in there, because I felt that the larger businesses should already have it because of the legal requirement on them.
Okay. All right. We've finished questions. Joe, would you like to say anything further? No. And Sarah, have you anything further to say for the amendment? Then we can vote on the amendment. Those in favour of the amendment, please show your hands. Those against? Those abstaining? That amendment is carried to section 2 of it. Eric, we come to you for your amendment.
Thank you, Chairman. It was on resolution 4 where it says require that when providing advice, guidance or support to residents on energy efficiency or domestic retrofit. If acceptable, I would like to add including through Hertfordshire Climate Change Sustainability Partnership, energy hubs and environmental forums, because those tend to be the platforms on which people generally receive guidance. So if that's acceptable, that would just be an addition of those words.
Do I have a seconder for that? Ruth, I think. I got George as well, but I think my eyes were drawn to Ruth first of all.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to argue over this. Yeah, I'll second the motion.
So seconder, any questions? Tim, then Nick.
I support the sentiment. I'm just wondering whether we've got the ability to shoehorn something into another organisation like HCCSP, which is made up of a number of different council representatives. So I'm positive and supportive, but I'm not sure we've got the ability to do that.
Nick?
I was just going to say I'm quite happy with the amendment. It makes sense. And perhaps I should have spoke up sooner. When I was an SME importing from China, I personally inspected every single factory I bought from on a voluntary basis.
Okay. Thank you. Vicky?
Could I just, because I think that point was quite valid, could I ask Eric if he missed out best endeavours to include? Because that might sort the issue out.
Any further questions on Eric's amendment? If not, no, I'm not clear. I'm not here. Yeah, but it was in here.
I'm just aware with best endeavours, it does have a legal meaning. Obviously, best endeavours means you have to spend money in order to meet the requirements. I mean, if you said reasonable, yeah.
I'm happy to be corrected by the lawyer.
Sorry for the record, I'm not the monitoring officer.
I think if I read out your amendment, Eric, and correct me if I've got it wrong, I'm sure you will. it was
Energy hubs and
re-
environmental forums. Yeah.
through HCCP, energy hubs and environmental forums. Oh, sorry, including best endeavours through HCCP, energy hubs and environmental forums.
Reasonable, not best.
Reasonable. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry.
So it's now reasonable rather than best endeavours. Shall I give it another go so that we're all very clear on this? Yeah.
Yeah, read the whole.
Okay. So item 4 turn to provide information to residents. Require that when providing advice, guidance or support to residents on energy efficiency or domestic refit, including reasonable endeavours through HCCP, energy hubs and environmental forums, officers signpost residents to credible information sources on how to acquire ethically produced solar PV panels. Good, thank you. We'll have a vote on that then. Who's in favour? Sorry, I think we've got to the vote now, so that's it. Can we have a show of hands in favour of Eric's amendment this time? Thank you. Those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. Which brings us to questions on the motion in its entirety now, including the amendments, which we have debated. Has anybody any questions? No, if there's no questions on that, then David?
I'm abstaining on this because I'm one of the people that hasn't had an opportunity to look at this in the depth. It came to me late, so I've not had the opportunity to look at this in the depth that it deserves. All respect to the proposer, so I will be abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Which brings me, George.
If anyone does want to be convinced out of abstaining, I have two points I think which should make sense if I say them properly. One is that I've always thought it's mad to have high welfare and environmental standards at home and then import them from countries who don't have those same standards. It's a kind of offshoring of evil. The second point is that the reason that so much comes from China is because they can do it very cheaply by cutting on those same standards. And presumably, if you were to, let's say, the fifth point of Ryan's extra say, in the attempt that they listen, that cuts off that market and forces it to be produced elsewhere, presumably in a place with higher standards. That's, I think, the heart of it. Anyway, there you go.
Tom, I believe you had a question.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, it's a good argument against globalisation, actually, which I love. Thank you, Councillor Cox. You've really brought the rebel out in me, actually. So I thank you for that. Yeah, I fully support what you're saying. I mean, there are several contradictions and inconsistencies with net zero that the previous government and this government just completely gloss over. I don't know if Vicky remembers, actually, but we had some DMC training, and during the training session, I asked why we can't condition on applications that materials are sourced from ethical sources, and was closed down flat. It's not part of the MPPF. You can't do this, that, and the other. You might remember that. So I left that meeting feeling a bit glum, actually, thinking, well, it just doesn't sit right with me. So yeah, I totally support what you're saying.
Thank you very much, Chair. Final comment from me, everybody will be pleased to know. Just reading the motion, I was minded to abstain this evening because, again, I'm sure the room sees it the same way. The sentiment behind this motion is absolutely, totally laudable, without wishing to be patronising in the slightest. Your words are very, very significant and clearly heartfelt. But we do just have to remember that there is a man and a woman out there on the street that needs to buy this stuff. You know, we're talking about PV and solar right now, but T-shirts, computers, all that sort of thing. And the reality is it's cheaper in China. And this bears on the ordinary man and woman in the British street. But I am now going to vote in favour because I think the amendment that you initiated with Eric's amendment to your amendment create a better context, a better perspective. So I will be voting in favour of this. Thank you.
Any further questions? we'll come to Vicky first of all, and then to you, Nick, for some.
I'm only going to mention a couple of things. I've been reading for years about forced relocations of children from their parents so that they are brought up in a different culture, in the Chinese culture rather than the local Uyghur, which is a Muslim Turkmen culture. The shoot to kill policies, including of children, of the police in the local areas, of any even vaguely impolite insurrectiony type stuff, and it doesn't really count. There is cultural and actual genocide, and we shouldn't be profiting off that.
Thank you, Vicky. Nick.
I'd just like to say that not every factory in China uses slave labour. I've been to some excellent factories where the workers are very well looked after. It's a very big country. Just choose your factory very carefully.
Thank you. So that brings us to the vote for the motion, including both amendments. Can I have a show of hands for those for? Those against? And those abstaining? Thank you. So that's carried. That concludes tonight's business at 8:56. Thank you.